find some one thing, like even if you're having a really bad time, maybe it was somebody smiling at you in the checkout line of the drugstore or the grocery store, or maybe it was a nurse in the hospital that came to you while you were at the bedside of a loved one and just was nice to you. And you can think about that and let that soak in, and it'll make your brain happier. So gratitude makes your brain happier. When your brain is happier, all those things follow.
Stay connected to gratitude. Hit the follow button right now and join thousands of listeners tuning in each week. We're the Gratitude Seekers. Come join us. Hi, Gratitude Seeker. Welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Today, with us, we have a mindfulness expert. Her name is Julie Potiker, and I'm really happy to have this wonderful conversation about mindfulness, about being in the present moment, and so many other important topics nowadays, especially when we have so many things that tend to keep us from being mindful. Julie, welcome to the Gratitude Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So let us know a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm a mom to 3 kids that are in their 20s, a boy and twin girls. Actually, my son is in his early 30s and the twins are about to be 29. I'm a wife. I'm a teacher of mindful self-compassion. That's a certification as well as a bunch of other trainings. I create content to teach. I've written 2 books and I'm a poet. But I used to be a lawyer. So I teach very evidence-based, science-based, neuroscience-based positive psychology. And it helped me and healed me. I think that people come to this work when they're suffering. And I just happened to come to that work when I was suffering and realize the positive impact it could have. And so that's why I became a teacher of it.
That's wonderful. It's always amazing to see people that are able not just to overcome their own suffering, but to help spread the word and help others actually do the same. And I'm always honored when I'm in the presence of such people. And I think it's a wonderful thing that we can do this for other people. So one of the first questions that I'm really curious about is related to gratitude, of course, is your definition of gratitude. Like, how do you define gratitude?
I think that nobody's ever asked me that, how to define gratitude. Gratitude is related to hope for me. So my gratitude practice is answering 2 questions each night in a journal. What did I enjoy today and what am I grateful for today? Because even if you are very upset, you're having a horrible day, let's say a loved one is dying, or let's say the world is at war, and let's say your people are being slaughtered. Let's say other people are cheering for your demise. I mean, right now, on October 31st, as a Jewish woman, I have been having a very difficult time having gratitude. Okay, so I'm grateful I'm safe. I'm grateful some people are speaking up. It's a minority of people that are speaking up, but some people are speaking up. I'm grateful for nature, that I can look outside, that I can see a stream, the water's moving, that I can see mountains, that the sun is coming up every day, that the moon is rising, trying to find things that are enduring. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful none of my family was murdered, even though I feel like it's my brothers and sisters that have suffered this horrible massacre. So it's really crazy that we're having this interview today, this interview that was set up so many months ago, because I was wondering how the hell we were going to have a conversation today. So I'm just answering honestly.
I can imagine. And yeah, I think this is one of the wonderful things about gratitude, is that in spite of the challenges that we face in our life, and the people that we love face, we can still find the silver lining. We can still find something that we can feel grateful for, and that can help us get ourselves together and continue on with life. And yeah, just this fact.
So what you said just now about get ourselves together, I think that's it. I think that's it. Gratitude enables you to get your act together so that you can be the change, so that you can be the light, so that you can do the work. Even if the work is in your garden or taking care of your family or taking care of your animals, it doesn't have to be this global thing necessarily, unless you're a person that operates in that theater. And in that case, go do it.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is that these days I was thinking about peace, and about the fact that quite a few years ago, when I started the podcast, I was grateful for peace, and for the fact that there was peace, at least where I live. And it's something that we take for granted so easily, but it's so different when you have such a conflict so close to you, one way or another.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but the science behind gratitude, which because your podcast is gratitude, the science, the brain science behind making yourself have a gratitude practice actually permeates every single area of your life. I have this graphic that I use in one of the classes that I teach that somebody else, happierhuman.com, and they never showed who he was, and I couldn't find out, or who she was, but they did a graphic of the benefits of gratitude. And the graphic's so good because it shows your emotional life, your social life, your career life, your health life, your personality. And in each of these little circles underneath, it represents hundreds of scientific studies. So you're going to have more good feeling and more relaxed and more resilient, less envious, happier memories. Okay, that's all good. That's your emotional life. What about health? You're going to improve your sleep. You're going to be sick less. You're going to live longer. Your energy is going to be better. It's going to be easier to exercise. Okay, what about your personality? You're going to be less materialistic and less self-centered and more optimistic, and you're going to increase your self-esteem and be more spiritual. Well, that's all great. Okay, what about your career? Oh, better management, improved networking, goal achievement, improved decision-making, increased productivity. Wow, last one, social, more social, kinder, more friendships, deeper relationships, healthier marriage. But underneath each one of those are studies that showed that those were the findings. So really, like, who wouldn't do this? Who wouldn't do this? Who wouldn't want that in their life, especially now when you have to get out of bed and brush your teeth and wash your face and brush your hair and like live in this crazy upside down world?
Americans spend an average of 90% of their time indoors and take about 20,000 breaths a day. According to the EPA, indoor air is 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air, and in some cases up to 100 times more polluted. Data shows that air pollution is responsible for nearly 7 million premature deaths globally. We are fortunate enough to live outside the city with easy access to it and a green meadow view outside the window. The not so fortunate part is that when we open the windows, we can hear all the constant traffic close to us, and the air quality isn't the best. Aside from that, our neighbors have a passion for using all kinds of fossil fuel motors to build or cut grass. I love doing breath work. I'm sure you do too. And it's in those moments when you breathe deeply that you become aware of the quality of the air you breathe and how important it actually is. So what's the solution? Introducing an air purifier that captured the attention of established media outlets such as CNN, Money, ABC, and more. Air Doctor. Air Doctor filters out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants and allergens such as pollen, pet dander, dust mite, mold, and even bacteria and viruses, so your lungs don't have to. All Air Doctor purifiers also feature whisper jet fans, 30% quieter than ordinary air purifiers. Air Doctor also comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus shipping. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code GRATITUDE, and depending on the model, you'll receive up to 39% off or up to $300 off. Exclusive to podcast customers, you will also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit, which is an additional $84 value. Log the special offer by going to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code GRATITUDE. That's so true. That's so true. And yeah, it's something that's so powerful that unfortunately not all of us are capable of doing each and every day. And I wanted to know how you managed to do it. How did you manage to get
Keep
to
it up.
have a habit in gratitude?
Yeah. So I think that it was James Baraz's class, Awakening Joy, that I took. Maybe, I don't want to say the wrong date, the wrong year, but it was at least, I'm going to say probably 15 years ago. And I saved the handouts. They sent like a handout package and then letters, and I did a 3-hole punch old school and put it in a folder. And this was before I became a mindful self-compassion teacher, but I saved all the stuff. And I think that it was in his class where it was answer those 2 questions. What did I enjoy today? And what am I grateful for today? Because other people say, just write down 3 things you're grateful for, or just think about what you're grateful for. I don't like to journal, so that didn't work for me. So you have to find what works for you. And then the science is so overwhelming that I just sort of grabbed myself and said, okay, this is the science, do it. Because I'm neuroscience based in how I teach. I teach experience dependent neuroplasticity training, which is the work of Rick Hansen, taking in a positive mental state, enriching it and absorbing it, pushes it to a neural trait. So that's a beautiful sunset. What's for dinner? No, that's a beautiful sunset. Wow, look at those colors. Just a couple breaths of enriching that and absorbing it in your body makes a new neural connection in your brain. So that's the gratitude practice. So let's say I went sailing because I love sailing and I'm a sailor. Let's say I went sailing that day. That would be what I enjoyed that day, right? And then what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for the ability to go sailing and to be on the water and to, and then you just think about that. So I didn't write a novel on sailing. I wrote the word sailing. And then I just had to use my brain and let it soak into my body. That's it. So that's easy. So people
Yeah.
find some one thing, like even if you're having a really bad time, maybe it was somebody smiling at you in the checkout line of the drugstore or the grocery store, or maybe it was a nurse in the hospital that came to you while you were at the bedside of a loved one and just was nice to you. And you can think about that and let that soak in, and it'll make your brain happier. So gratitude makes your brain happier. When your brain is happier, all those things follow.
Exactly. This is one of my favorite things about gratitude, just the fact that it's very helpful when things aren't going great, because it helps you see those things that are working and that are great in your life, but also it enhances the beautiful things that have happened. Like we don't have to wait every day to have the biggest promotion or pay raise or something like this so that we can be grateful, but we can find things and amplify them and get even more juice out of them by practicing gratitude. And yeah, I love the fact that you've pointed to these, both of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, they can be really little. It can be that you have a soft pillow or your favorite blanket. I have this blanket from I loved both of my parents deeply. But my dad passed away 3 years ago, and I have some of his stuff. I wear his watch. I have the blankets that we used to cozy up with to watch TV. I'm tactile that way. I wear something of
Mhm.
my mother's every day. She passed in 2016. That's already a long time ago, but he passed in 2019. That's not that long ago. And so I just appreciate the feeling that I get from their stuff because it connects me. And then I can feel, it's melancholy and bittersweet, but I can feel connected. And I was so beautifully loved.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, it's good. I'm glad he's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
alive right now. Oh my gosh, what a world.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
I can be
Yeah,
grateful about
definitely.
that.
Yeah,
I can be grateful that he's not witnessing the world right now.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely relate. And yeah, but the one beautiful takeaway from this is that we are um, we are different as humans. We have different um, senses that are really important for us. Like you mentioned, you are tactile. When you feel things with your hands and on your body, you feel in a certain thing in a certain way. And I think with gratitude as well, like when we use the senses, as many of the senses as possible, that but the ones that have the most impact, we get to experience an even deeper kind of gratitude, and that's wonderful. But I wanted to get to something else as well, to the fact that we tend to focus much more, unfortunately, on criticizing ourselves rather than on being self-compassionate, being grateful, appreciating things about ourselves. How can we start going from being very critical with ourselves to being self-compassionate?
Well, that's the mindful self-compassion curriculum in a nutshell. Learning to be kind to yourself and gentle with yourself and cut yourself some slack is a difficult practice, but it's 100% teachable. So actually, I'd like to tease apart what you said, because you said two different things that are important. One of them is that we have a negativity bias because we're primates. So that's the first thing. Don't beat yourself up over the fact that your brain is Velcro for bad things and Teflon for good things. Thank you, Rick Hansen, for that image. I think that he originated those images. So knowing that, how do you overcome that? And also acknowledge that you have an inner critic. So you speak to yourself harshly. You wouldn't talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself, or you wouldn't have any friends, right? Because you can be really, really mean to yourself, right? Your inner critical voice is the voice of an early caregiver that was trying to keep you safe, or trying to have you do your best, or they were just in fear, whatever it was. Now, if your early childhood was actually traumatic, abuse, neglect, these exercises are not appropriate for you, because your inner critical voice actually has no value. So you don't want to make friends with that voice. But if you had a more typical upbringing, you can do writing exercises where you think about, let's say you think about something that you'd like to change about yourself. That's not a big deal. It's, I wish I exercised more, or I wish I ate better, or something like that, that you beat yourself up over, that because you're human. You write that down, and this is in the class exercise or for homework, and you write down how your inner critical voice responds to that, and you pay attention to the content and also the tone of voice, and you'll see it's not nice. And then you dredge up your inner compassionate voice, and if you don't know what that is, it's what you would say to somebody you really cared about for the same issue. They said they wish they exercised more. And then you write from your compassionate voice the response, and then you compare those two, and you see, that critical voice is not so motivating. This compassionate voice is very motivating and loving and gentle. And then you say goodbye to your critical voice. You know what? You can stand down. I don't need you anymore. I get you were trying to help me in A, B, C, D, E ways, but I'm a grown-ass woman now. I don't need you. Or I'm an adult man now. I don't need you. You're not helpful. You are retired. Thank you, but goodbye. And then you just lean into that compassionate voice over and over and over and over again. And one day, your compassionate voice is going to be the voice you hear. And it'll say something like, sweetheart, I know that when you exercise, because I pulled that example up, I know that you feel better and that you're healthier. And I want you to be healthy and feel better because I love you. As opposed to, lazy fat ass, get off the couch. So that's
Yeah.
how that works.
Americans spend an average of 90% of their time indoors and take about 20,000 breaths a day. According to the EPA, indoor air is 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air, and in some cases up to 100 times more polluted. Data shows that air pollution is responsible for nearly 7 million premature deaths globally. We are fortunate enough to live outside the city with easy access to it and a green meadow view outside the window. The not so fortunate part is that when we open the windows, we can hear all the constant traffic close to us and the air quality isn't the best. Aside from that, our neighbors have a passion for using all kinds of fossil fuel motors to build or cut grass. I love doing breath work. I'm sure you do too. And it's in those moments when you breathe deeply that you become aware of the quality of the air you breathe and how important it actually is. So what's the solution? Introducing an air purifier that captured the attention of established media outlets such as CNN, Money, ABC, and more. Air Doctor. Air Doctor filters out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants and allergens such as pollen, pet dander, dust mite, mold, and even bacteria and viruses, so your lungs don't have to. All Air Doctor purifiers also feature whisper jet fans, 30% quieter than ordinary air purifiers. Air Doctor also comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus shipping. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code GRATITUDE, and depending on the model, you'll receive up to 39% off or up to $300 off. Exclusive to podcast customers, you will also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit, which is an additional $84 value. Lock the special offer by going to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code GRATITUDE.
Yeah, definitely. But I want to play the devil's advocate for this one because there is a common misconception that's related to gratitude as well. Like, if we are too grateful, we are not going to be motivated to do anything. Or if we are too self-compassionate, we are just gonna slack forever and postpone everything because we are way too kind to ourselves and we're not going to get things done.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
that's a common misconception that has been thoroughly debunked by science. So if you go on Kristen Neff's website, she has all the research articles by category. So you could just go to that category and you'll see that people are self-compassionate are actually more likely to do more stuff because they know that if they fail, they can say, sweetheart, it's good that you tried. And then they're more likely to try more. So self-compassionate people are actually more motivated and do even better in the workplace.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And it's backed by science. Hello, which makes me really happy. Otherwise, I don't know if I could teach this stuff. If it was just like pie in the sky grooviness, I wouldn't be doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally understand. Yeah. So just this fact is very interesting for me. We tend to be very self-critical in many ways because we believe that we're not going to change if we're not critical with ourselves. Like, okay, how am I supposed to do things better if I'm not critical, at some level?
Yeah, that's your
And
inner critical voice saying all of those things. So you can let that voice go and you can lean into your compassionate voice, the voice that you would use for a dear friend. That's the motivating voice.
exactly. Yeah.
I grew up with C's are not acceptable in this house. In the grading system, and in America, you get an A, you get a B, you get a C. We weren't allowed to get C's. as kids. It was really scary. And there was a subject, it was chemistry in high school, that I couldn't understand it. It just wasn't how I'm wired in my brain. And I was terrified that my mom would see a C. I didn't actually know what was going to happen. So I hid my report card. It was as kids do these things. It was one of those midterm reports, and it was a C, and I hid it. And then they went to parent teacher night. I've never told anybody this, and found out from the teacher how poorly I was doing in the class. And oh my God, my mother she was screaming and yelling and calling me names, because not only because I was doing poorly grade-wise, but because I hid the report card, which was like a huge moral failing. I mean, she called me every name in the book. She called me a pig. I mean, it was really unbelievable. What a voice to internalize as a kid. Horrible, horrible. Now, I did end up with like either a B in that class or an A- in that class, because I switched teachers, and the new teacher, he explained things in such a way I understood it. He brought in like balloons, and I know I sound like this whole thing sounds crazy. I haven't thought about it in years, but I was able to understand it because he taught it in a way that it was easier to understand.
Exactly.
The other teacher, I think, just really didn't like me, actually, because he said, if you spent less time on the stage, because I was in rehearsals every day, because I was a theater kid and I was in all the shows. If you spent less time on the stage rehearsing, you wouldn't be doing poorly in this class. Well, I can't swear on your podcast, can I? So anyway, the little girl in me, I was like, screw you. I can't understand it because I can't understand it. So anyhow, that's somehow we dredged up an old memory.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I actually had a very similar experience. I actually
Really?
had some, yeah, it was so funny for me listening. So I actually did the same thing. At one point, I had like some bad grades, and I just hid the report card.
And then did your parents find out and you got in big trouble?
For me, it was easier in the sense that I think at one point after some years, they realized that it wasn't that it got lost, but I actually hid it, you know. And it was very funny because at some point I was helping my mom try to find it, you know, and I knew where I hid it, and we were like searching for it throughout the house, and it was hilarious. From if I would have seen this from above, it was hilarious because, of course, I knew what it was, and I had to do everything in my power to make sure that she wouldn't get to that part, or if we would get to that part, I would hit it in another part.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was really funny. Now if I'm looking back at it, but aside from that, what I understood from the experience is that for me it was not actually about the report card itself, but it was about losing their approval, their
Yep.
appreciation, their love.
Yep.
And that was it. So that was the danger, and the I don't know how many years I had at one point, but the child in me was like, okay, I'm not gonna lose these. These are important for us. For me, I'd rather lose the report card. No problem.
Yeah, that whole parental, like, now with my father, I never would have lost his approval or his love, regardless of what I did or didn't do. with my mother, I had to meet her expectations. And they were very, very high.
Yeah.
So now that I'm 62 years old, they're long gone, right? They, it's looking back and grieving them and missing them. I can see why it's so much easier to have so much more sweetness for my dad, because my mom was hard. I loved her deeply and she was phenomenal, but that's hard. That's really hard. So I try not to do that to my kids.
Yeah. That's again the most wonderful part, that we as a species, we can learn
Change.
from. Yeah, we can change, we can do things better, we can, when we know how it is to be in a certain situation, we know that we can improve and we can do things better. And that works on the inside as well, like you mentioned, the fact that we've seen that we can really beat ourselves up, and we're actually just feeling miserable, like in most of the situations we just feel bad about things, but that changes nothing actually, and no one actually wins from this.
Right.
And we have a choice. We can choose the other voice that you mentioned, and that you describe beautifully, and that's the voice of someone that loves us, that someone that cares for us. And it's a whole nother way of experiencing life, basically,
Yeah.
when you're not that rough with yourself. And
I call myself sweetheart. I do. I call myself sweetheart. The first maybe year or two, or maybe even 3 of calling myself sweetheart made me laugh, because it sounded so weird and almost fake, right? And now I just really mean it with all my heart. I call myself sweetheart. Sweetheart, honey, this is hard, but you can do it. Sweetheart, I'm so sorry you're hurting. Sweetheart, what do you need to hear right now? Sweetheart, what do you need to do right now to shift your mood? I created that acronym SNAP, which is my second book, which is soothing touch, so that you release some endorphins and oxytocin to start feeling better right away, right? And then name the emotion, because that really helps give you more perspective around it. Oh, this is grief, this is fear, this is anxiety, this feels terrible, whatever it is, right? And then the act of SNA, the A is act. What do I need to hear right now? Sweetheart, what do I need to hear right now? And then you say it to yourself, because you deserve it. You deserve that, sweetheart. And then what do I need to do right now to shift my mood? Now, you might not want to shift your mood. You might say, you know what? I need to cry for 15 minutes. And then I need to pick up myself and glue myself back together and do something that brings me joy, so that I can have a gratitude about it. So what brings me joy that I can do in that moment? Is it listening to a song that moves me? Is it going out in nature? Is it petting my dog? Is it cooking something, calling a friend, taking a bath? You'll have a joy list that's unique to you, that'll have 25 or 35 things on it, and you'll pick one of them to do. And then the last part of SNAP is praise. It's the P. And that is thanking yourself for your practice, thanking your teachers. If you're a God person, thanking God or Jesus or Buddha or Allah, and then all of that is gratitude and letting that soak in. So something is happening that you are uncomfortable with. You're feeling uncomfortable. Snap, soothing touch, name the emotion, act, and praise. And when I teach it in a group of people, I have them do the hand and arm motions so that they remember it. When we did the book launch, my husband said afterwards, you know, that was really good and it was really interesting, but I felt like we were doing the hokey pokey at the beginning of the class. And I said, good, because people remember the hokey pokey.
Exactly.
I want them to remember this, and eventually it'll get internalized and they won't be using the hand and arm motions, and they'll just know. They'll have their hand on their heart or their stomach or their face, or they'll be hugging their arms, whatever the soothing touch is that works for them. And then they'll be naming that emotion. Wow, that feels like anger, right? Or fear or whatever it is. Then they'll be doing the act. What do I need to hear right now? And they'll tell it to themselves. And then they'll be doing, what do I need to do right now? And they'll do a tool or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10. And finally, they'll be praising.
Such a powerful practice. And I love this idea that you're doing something not just in your own head, but you're also moving, you're also experiencing the feeling and all of this process with all of your body. And I think this is very powerful. And what you just mentioned about sweetheart, it's so powerful. And I was thinking, of course, I was translating in Romanian, and I was thinking how I would talk to myself. And I urge our audience to do the same, like to think about sweetheart, or the kind of way you would address someone that you care about and you love, and just have this experience. Because of course when you hear it from us talking, it's something, but when you do it in your own head and you talk with yourself like that, it's so interesting, and it's such a different kind of experience. And you realize that I could do this.
Right.
This could be a way for me to relate to myself. This is not
right.
bad.
And if it makes you laugh because you feel embarrassed, that's okay, because laughter is also very good. You know, biologically, laughter is very good. Shauna Shapiro wrote the book, Good Morning, I Love You. She's a scientist. She wrote this little book, Good Morning, I Love You, because she had where she did it in the mirror every morning. Good morning, I love you, she said to herself. And she's a scientist, so the book's filled with really good science, and she showed how it changed her life.
Yeah. And usually these simple things are so impactful, but we just need to do them, you know, like really have this experience. And yeah, for me this was very moving, just relating to myself and talking to myself in such a way, because what I felt was that it was activating something inside of me that I was doing for other people very naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But it was different or weird in some way to do it with myself. And I think this is a wonderful gift that we can bring to ourselves, and it's simple. And of course the snap method is so powerful, and the visual of it, like the snap, everyone knows the snap, and the fact that we know that it's very easy to do and to put into words and into something really concrete. That's amazing. We're in theory, we're nearing the end of our time together. I don't know if you have a few minutes to continue, or
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good.
okay, just wanted to make sure that you don't have a hard stop, because I feel that there's more to our conversation. And yeah, I think it would be amazing to
to continue for a few minutes. So yeah,
Sure.
I think it's so powerful, just this simple act. And also what I see about you that I really appreciate is the fact that you're very playful. Like this, the way you approach these kinds of things that are serious from some points of view is still very playful. And I think this is very helpful for many of us when we see things like very seriously and they should be in a certain way and stuff like this. It makes us anxious. It makes us less inclined to do them. But when we're playful, when we can laugh about it, when we can say, okay, this is kind of weird, but it's funny and it's fun. Let's try it out.
Mhm.
Okay, we're much more open, and I love
So
that.
for me, it's the science that makes me willing to do the things that feel weird or are funny or are embarrassing or whatever. I keep my eye on the ball. Oh, the ball says this is going to help me. Okay, I'll try it. And then if it's weird, I'll just say it out my mouth. Wow, this is weird. Wow, this is embarrassing. Just say what's happening. Say it out of your mouth, what is happening. And with my kids, in terms of the toolbox, when things are really sideways, I'll say, what tool helps you now? Is it going to be going into the sauna or into an ice cold bath or a cold shower to reset your nervous system? Is it going to be listening to a meditation? My daughters are musicians. Is it going to be writing music or singing? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I once years ago, my son called me. He was having a panic attack, and I told him to put his face in a bowl of ice water, because it's a DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy tool, because you have the diver's response and it resets your nervous system. And so he did it, but then he didn't use another tool after that. So he went back into panic, and he called me again and he's like, I've stuck my face in the ice water 3 times already. And I'm like, oh, I didn't tell you what to do after that. Then you use the tool. Is it going to be grounding yourself through the soles of your feet? Is it going to be doing a meditation? Is it going to be watching something completely distracting? Like during this past 3 weeks, when I've been so upset because of what's going on in Israel and in Gaza, I've been watching old movies, classic movies from the 1940s, or cheesy rom-coms, which stands for romantic comedy. I'm having a hard time. Normally, I really get into reading novels, and that's a good distraction. That's one of my tools, but I'm having a hard time concentrating because I'm upset. So you pick what's going to work for you. Some of these days, I've been taking 2 baths a day. Taking a bath in the middle of the day, that's kind of a day bath. That makes me laugh. That's kind of like extra, So, yeah, so I do approach it. I never thought about it as playful, but I think you're right. I do approach it with a light touch.
Hey, Gratitude Seeker, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this interview. I really appreciate it. And if you could think of one person that would also benefit from it, share it with them. It might actually be the inspiration that they need to make their day or maybe even their life much better. Thank you so much once again. This has been Georgian Benta. Don't forget to keep seeking and spreading gratitude.
Time. It's always vanishing. The commute, the errands, the work functions, the meetings, selling your car. Unless Do you sell your car with Carvana? Get a real offer in minutes. Get it picked up from your door. Get paid on the spot. So fast, you'll wonder what the catch is. There isn't one. We just respect you and your time. Oh, you're still here? Move along now. Enjoy your day. Sell your car today.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.